How many of you out there played high school football? Anybody? Okay, see a few banged up souls. How many played high school sports? Okay, cheerleading. Band? Okay, lots of other things. Back in the late 60s and 70s, over there at Linview High School, I was what was called a student trainer manager. And people like y'all that was out there on the football field, and you see us on TV all the time, you get laid out on the field by some bruiser, and the coach would run out there to see if you're still breathing, and they would figure out how bad you were hurt, and that was about it. And me and my buddies would go out there and drag you off the field, throw an ice pack on you, maybe tape you up. Well, that was then, and this is now. As you watch the football on TV and other things, or up here at Dobyns Stadium or any stadium in the area now, when somebody gets hurt, there's careful trainers that go out on the field and assess your injuries. They take their time about it. And one of those people we have today here is Kevin Trivette, who is the full-time trainer for Dobyns Bennett High School. Dobyns Bennett High School was one of the first high schools in the area to have a full-time trainer. Before that, it was the coaches. And things have come a long way. Kevin attended ETSU and got his Bachelor of Science degree in athletic training and physical education. And later, his Master of Arts degree in health education at ETSU. In secondary education and health education there to support his profession. He started out at East Tennessee State University as an undergraduate student athletic trainer, like a lot of people did. And over the years, he performed services full-time and part-time, I guess, at places like this: the Canadian Football League, Memphis Mad Dogs Professional Football Club, training camp. He's held positions at Watauga Orthopedics, along with Greg over here, that y'all should well be familiar with if you had to have physical therapy. I doubt anybody in here has had to have physical therapy, but y'all may know him from that position. In the summer of '98, Kevin provided medical services direction for the AAU 1500 boys basketball and invitational tournaments. He's been the graduate assistant athletic trainer at Dobyns Bennett High School during his education and training there. I guess that was an internship type thing, assigned here local to Dobyns Bennett. He's served as the medical services director for the AAU 1600 girls basketball national basketball tournament. And in 1999 to the present time, he has been the athletic trainer. He has since accumulated some other trainers to assist him. And when you drive by the Dobyns Bennett campus up there, any time of the year, sprawled all across that campus is all kinds of activities. And even the band. I mean, if you get Leif Cook out there, they're doing push-ups out there on the pad, you might get a sunburn. Yeah, Kevin's probably treated a little sunburn for the band there. I'm not sure about that. He can tell us about that. But. So let's give he's a National Board of certified as an athletic trainer at the National Board of Certification. He's licensed as an athletic trainer in the state of Tennessee. He's a member of the National Athletic Trainers Association. Let's give Kevin Trivette a good Kiwanis welcome.
I'm not used to using a microphone, so if you can't hear me in the back, please let me know. I'm usually just yelling, so if I get too loud, tell me that also. Thank you, Mr. Addington, for the welcome. Thank you all for letting me come today to talk to y'all. As Mr. Addington said, I started full-time at at Dobyns Bennett in 1999. I've actually been at Dobyns Bennett since 1997. I did 2 years as a graduate assistant athletic trainer while working on my master's through East Tennessee State University. working hopefully to show the need for athletic trainer at the high school level. That project was through Mr. Jerry Robertson, who is our head athletic trainer at East Tennessee State, and he's been known all across the nation. And a lot of y'all might have seen Coach over the years come over to ETSU. If you got banged up really bad, Coach would take a look at you, see what all needed to be done. And I'm a firm believer that I'm here today because of Coach Robertson. Little quick story. I was actually supposed to go to Sullivan Central and be their athletic trainer as a GA. And we are actually, me and Coach Robertson are actually on the way to drive to meet the athletic director and the head football coach. And we were going 26 coming over, and we passed 81 interchange, and he keeps going to Kingsport. I said, Coach, you missed the turn. Sullivan County didn't come up with the money. I'm taking you to Kingsport. I think it'll be a good opportunity for you. Hopefully in 2 years, maybe it'll work into a full-time job. God puts you where he wants you and puts people in your life for a reason. Because as I tell people, I came to Kingsport that day and y'all ain't found enough dynamite to blow my hind end out of there. And I'm so thankful to be there. I've gotten to meet so many great people along the way. This gentleman right over here, Greg Cross, has been a great mentor and friend, and he is Dobyns Bennett football to me. He comes in every Tuesday morning into the athletic training room and sees kids, doesn't charge them a thing. I can call him and say, hey, I need you to come and check somebody. Doesn't matter when, he'll make it work. And we are very blessed in this area with great physicians, therapists that are able to help us. As a certified athletic trainer, my job is kind of to facilitate the medical care. And what I mean by that is someone gets injured on the field or court, evaluate the injury, see if we can deal with that in-house, or if we need to get them sent to the doctor's office for x-rays, so on and so forth, physical therapy, whatever that is. And also be the communicator between the parents, the coaches, and also whoever the healthcare provider is. I'm not a big ER person. I don't like going and sitting for 4 hours for them to tell you, oh, you need to pay this copay. And by the way, 2 days later, go see a doc. I'm not that kind of person. I have no patience for that. So, we tried to jump all the middlemen we can, and that way our kids get the best care possible. We do have right now 2.5 athletic trainers positions at that high school. There's myself, Brianna Hempton-Steele is our other full-time athletic trainer. And then this year, we've got Mark McDonald. We brought him over from the dark side. He was 35 years at Science Hill as their head athletic trainer, and he retired over there. We brought him over. We try to save all centers as much as possible. And we've brought him over, and he's wearing the right color maroon now. That's how I'll put that. And so we're looking at right now from my vantage point is this year asking to keep Mark for next year as a part-time position, but then we're also asking for a full-time position for each middle school, for one for Robinson and one for Sevier, because just at the high school, we've got 26 varsity sports, not JV sports. That's varsity sports. That's not counting JV, freshman, activities such as band, ROTC. And nowadays with TSSAA, basically there is no such thing as an off season. You get 2 weeks, last week of June and first week of July. That's basically the only time that you won't see kids on campus from an athletic standpoint. You'll still see the band out there because they don't have a dead period. But, we got so many kids that are involved on a Friday night or a Tuesday night, depending on what season it is. I mean, on a Friday night at J. Fred Johnson, you will have anywhere 500 kids possibly involved between the band, the cheerleaders, football team, dance team, student section. I mean, and they're having a good time. And, like I say, we're very blessed to be able to be in that environment. I was not a good athlete. Actually, how I got into this job was I blew out my knee playing football, got chop blocked, tore my ACL. we had an athletic trainer at our high school, and started doing some rehab, trying to, at the time, getting back would be a 12-month deal, and got injured in late October. So I was trying to rehab it and so on and so forth. And then I was like, I'll go this route. And so I get to, help people and also be around sports. I got the best seat in the house. I got ringside seat every night. Get to deal with great people. I get to deal with great kids like Sally right here. Sally keeps me employed. Especially last year, I'll say that. She's a great one. Part of my job is, again, to facilitate with the coaches, letting them know what we can and can't do with practice and or game. I'm not a person to just sit a kid out even if they're injured. If they can do something, we're going to try and do something. We're going to do some rehab. We're going to try and get them to do something in the weight room and go from there. A lot of things have changed a whole lot over the years. Since I've been at Dobyns Bennett, we've got a full-time strength and conditioning coach, which has been huge. And we've got a kids lifting all through the school day, which is great. We don't have to have all our kids lifting right after school or during their practice time. They're able to lift during the day, have some rest during the day, and then be able to go to the practice or games at night. We also work on facilitating from a nutrition standpoint. We've actually gotten, is this the second year of the girls class or first year, Sally? Second year? Third year? We've actually got a female class that is all just female athletes. And it's been great because you train females different than you train guys. So that we're able to focus in on female sports and in season versus out of season. Coach Fleming does a great job of making sure that his in-season kids don't get overloaded. And from my vantage point, if we are transitioning an athlete that's injured back to the field or back into the weight room, if it's a lower body injury, there ain't nothing wrong with their upper body or their core. We're going to still go lift because those kids need to be in that weight room because that's where you build a lot of bonds. Same thing in the training room. We expect you to be in there and work. It ain't just you get injured, okay, come back whenever you feel like you're ready to go. We're going to go and work. If they have to have surgery or an injury that needs formal physical therapy, we're going to get with Greg, and try and be an adjacent opportunity from a rehab standpoint. What do you want us to do with those kids on the days that they're not seeing you at physical therapy? How can we best benefit them to help speed that process along? But when I first started, different concussion is a kind of a hot button topic, in sports. When I first started, concussion was kind of like, okay, you all right? You got your bell rung? Okay, get back in there. Kind of one of those deals you had. If you didn't have if your symptoms resolved after 15 minutes, we put you right back in. If it was over 30 minutes, you had to wait a week. If it was longer than an hour, you had to wait 2 weeks. Well, now we've actually got return to play protocols. And part of that return to play protocol is actually return to learn protocol. So, making sure that these student athletes are able to have the best education along with the athletics standpoint. That way, if they need, less homework during the day or less screen time with their teachers in the computer lab or something like that, we can let them know. So we talk with the school nurse. If it's something that doesn't resolve over a week or 10 days, we're probably going to do a health education plan for that kid. That way, everybody's covered. We don't want anything to be a deterrent with the kid in the classroom. We don't want to penalize a kid for having a concussion. You don't want a concussion. It just happened. So we want to make sure that we are that liaison to the faculty and the staff at school on behalf of the student. We are seeing a lot of overuse injuries now compared to when I first started because of sports specialization. Everybody's going to the major leagues. Everybody's going to the NFL. Everybody's going to the NBA or the WNBA. If you don't believe it, ask your parents. they specialize these kids at 5, 6, 7 years old. Oh, you're going to be this kind of player. You're going to play this sport. I'm still old school. Play it all. You only go through this life once. Play as much as you can for as long as you can. Because what you think you might be best at when you're 7 or 8 might not be true when you're 16, 17 years old. So I encourage the kids to play as much as we can, because what we're finding out is I've got middle school kids coming to me that are already kind of quote unquote damaged goods. They've already had significant injuries, especially arm injuries such as baseball or softball, that we never did see when I first started. Yeah. And so that is something that has really changed over the years. Also, going back to strength and conditioning, recovery, making sure that our kids get the proper rest, that we kind of load management our kids some. The coaches do a great job from the standpoint of, okay, if tomorrow's a game day, well, we're going to work today at practice, but and I'm going to use Sally since she's here, if she's had a hard week, let's say we had a really intense game on Tuesday, we're playing again on Friday. Well, Wednesday's practice for her probably going to be a little bit pulled back a little bit, just so she can have a little bit more recovery. We did that a lot with her last year on some injuries, just to make sure that her optimum environment to perform was on game night. And communicating that with the coaches, and again, very blessed to work with great coaches, great staff that allow you to do that. The old ways when I first started was, this is how we're going to practice. By golly, we're going to do it the same every day, and you liked it or lumped it. That's the one thing that's kind of cool now to a certain degree. I was the youngest person on staff, most of the coaching staffs when I first started. Now I'm the old dog on the porch. I've got seniority on everybody on the football staff, except for Mr. Cross there, and he's got to stay on because I don't want to have most seniority with football. But seeing how things have changed, working more with flexibility, again, load management, and part of my job is to figure out what makes these kids tick. What's their why? Why are they doing what they're doing? And also, how can I make them go? Used to coaches, and any of y'all that played high school sports, you screwed up, coaches just right down your throat. Well, in the training room, we're going to work. There's times and places that I got to be that hard in your face, kind of get you going. But I also have to know what makes you tick. What button can I push that's my go-to that'll make you work? Now, I'm going to use Sally again right here. All I got to do is tell her she can't do something. Hey, you can't do that. We don't need to do that today. You ain't ready for that. I'll show you, basically. Just watch. I'll show you. And those are the cool things. Another cool part of my job right now, being the old dog on the porch, is now I've got kids of kids. And so seeing those athletes when I first started, now being parents and seeing their kids and seeing how they have part of their parents in them, or they act like such and such, or their demeanor is such and such. And what's really funny is listening to their parents get onto them for the same thing that their parents got onto them when I first started. I'm like, just relax. It's all good. But finding out the why, why do they want to do this? What do they want to get out of the rehab, and what makes them work the best? Because as I tell kids, especially when they have severe injuries where it's going to be a long-term rehab, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm also going to be your biggest pain in the hind end. So I ain't afraid to kick you in the tail, but we've got to love up on you. And that's a big thing also now versus 28 years ago. Kids want to know the why. You have to have a relationship with them. You just can't be, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Back when we were playing sports, coach said to do this, you just did it. You didn't say, well, why are we doing that? Or I don't want to do this. Now they want to know, well, why are we doing this exercise? What am I going to get out of that? Why are we on this timeline? Why are we doing this? And so being very transparent and open with the kids, with the coaches, with the parents also from that standpoint. And another thing that we do now that didn't do when I first started, I'm part meteorologist. This is the part that I don't like. We have to have emergency action plans for injuries, but we also have to have severe weather plans, lightning detection equipment, heat stress, those type of things. We're monitoring during summer football workouts and stuff like that. What's the heat index? What's the wet bulb globe temp readings? Because we have certain protocols now that we have to go by that dictate, can you go full gear with football? Some days we can't. Some days we can only go what we call shells, which is helmet and shoulder pads. We got to go in shorts because the heat index is too high, and those are things that we've got to do acclimatization now with football, where every kid, before they can go full gear, they have to go 2 days in helmets, 3 days in shoulder pads before they can go full gear to acclimatize them to the heat, to the stresses of the game. And we have to document all that and keep that on record for, God forbid, something bad happened. That way you got yourself a little bit protected. I've kind of went over a whole lot of stuff here. I'm not very good at speaking. Anybody that knows me knows that. I'm out of my comfort zone. So I'm just going to open it up to questions.